So intuition is kind of your, at least for me, your inner voice pushing you in one direction, right? And it's a swim lane that you're comfortable with. Intuition, I think it's kind of like having someone on your shoulder whispering in your ear, right? And most of the time your intuition is pretty darn good, but sometimes it's not, which is why it's really important to have diverse opinions and people on your, in your circle of advisors, because they eliminate your blind spots and they course correct your own intuition. Because what's intuitive to me and what's intuitive to my wife, Stacy, are totally different, by the way. And that we're better together than we are alone.
How early on would you say you noticed that you were paying attention to noticed your intuition?
I think that comes from pretty early in childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you feel the same way, Matt?
Well, embarrassingly, I just learned last year, really put my finger on, that was my intuition, and I'm going to listen to it. Like, I was able to actually recognize it. Yeah. And I shared this with a friend who said that she was going through quite a difficult divorce at the time. And she went to the balcony of her home, and she felt this weird energy in her home. And she said almost like it was haunted, just this weird energy. And she had this feeling like, we must leave. Me and my daughter must leave. And she chose to leave. And she said from that day forth, the relationship ended. Her whole new chapter, her whole new world began. And she said that was the first time she truly felt like she had recognized and acted on her intuition.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I think I've used it. I have this feeling that this is someone I'd like to get to know, or this is a good idea that I think is cool. But I've never really been paying attention. And you mentioned earlier self-awareness.
Yeah.
I don't think I necessarily had hyper-tuned self-awareness even five years ago.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, it's just sometimes you just get to that level of clarity in your thinking, and a lot of time I think it's intuition that helps you there, where you just say, aha, this is the correct path of action.
Right.
And I guess in your friend's example, it's get the heck out of there.
Yeah.
My example, most of the time, my intuition is business related. It's like, okay, this is how we need to approach this partner. This is how we need to redirect this team and solve this problem.
Ultimate clarity is the confidence that you walk into that room and tell the story with.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of it, but...
Or you just make it up.
No, you don't make... look, there's a time and place to wing it, but most of the time you're much better off being prepared.
Right. No faking it.
No faking it, being authentic, prepared, anticipating the questions and having good answers to them. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you just got to wing it too.
You ever taken a trip somewhere and having it changed you from a business concept standpoint, just like an aha moment?
Oh, for sure. Look, you have these moments where sitting back here, you make a decision about something. Like, I'll give you an example. At Kayak, when we first started, the rage was offshoring coding to India. So you're sitting in Massachusetts, which is where we were at the time. We said, okay, let's put a development center in Bengaluru, India, of 20 coders. It's great because we can submit a request in our nighttime at the end of the business day, and by the next morning, the code will be written. How awesome is that? And it's a fifth the price, et cetera. So we sprang it up, started a legal entity, hired there, and then it wasn't working. After a month, it wasn't working. It was like, we're getting really crap code back. They don't understand what we're talking about. So I said, let's jump on an airplane. So I jumped on an airplane, flew there, saw the office, and my concept of what was happening there and what was actually happening was totally different. Right. It was a disaster, right? A total disaster. It wasn't a group of 20 folks sitting in front of laptops in a great office getting stuff done with perfect clarity and management like you'd expect in America, right? It was totally different, It was like...
What was it like?
Oh, my God.
Describe it. Come on, I'm really curious.
Oh, like shabby offices, old computers, people who didn't talk to each other. Everyone's more concerned about getting coffee and getting their errands run by... We had like a team of staffers who just ran errands for everybody. And... no quality control. They didn't care. They just wanted their paycheck, and they had other stuff. They were just like sticking it to the American company.
And what's going through your mind when you're seeing all this?
I was like, we got to shut this down. Oh my
Immediately.
God, we got to shut it down. So, and the one thing I learned about India which is an amazing country, by the way, and it's a totally different operating climate now than it was 20 years ago, was it was easy to start a company there. It was almost impossible to shut it down. Oh, the starting a company there, I think, cost us maybe $200. Getting out cost us 20 grand, which at that point in time was a lot of money for us.
There, going somewhere and feeling something and learning something, there's no
No substitute for it.
substitute for that.
Yeah.
What I find really interesting about your story is that you've been basically in the same position now for how many years? Almost 2 decades?
Yeah, 20 years.
I think the longest standing tech travel CEO.
Yes. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Dubious.
Why?
I think it's because I haven't achieved what we wanted to do with kayak. It's still doesn't search everything. It's not as intuitive as it could be. There's always stuff to get done to make it better. And I'm still having fun.
You don't get bored.
Not at all. I mean, now with AI and ChatGPT, it just opens up everything that we can do in a totally different fashion. I mean, right now, if you use kayak, it's pretty much been the same for the last 20 years. You come to our website or to our MWeb or to our app, you submit a query in a structured format of data fields, and we give you a list of search results. But with AI, it totally opens it up. You can now use your kayak app to snap a photo of an itinerary you draw on a napkin or an itinerary you found from someone else, and we'll automatically start a search and find better prices for you.
That's brand new, right?
Yeah. It works. I can show you. Well, there's not going to be a break, but I can show you right after this. And the next step is just to enable voice and text, and send us a request via WhatsApp or Instagram, a picture, a napkin you write on, or just a voice clip, and we'll automatically send you search results back. And we'll say, do you want to set up a price for it? Do you want to set up a trip? Do you want to look at other destinations? It's awesome.
So I'm guessing you have people who are coming up with these great ideas. It's not all yours.
No, definitely not all mine. We have another 1,000 people at Kayak who do nothing but think of great stuff.
And you're filtering them in a way. You're
We have
a
a team.
sounding board.
Yeah.
So that keeps you fresh.
Yeah.
That keeps things exciting. What's the biggest thing that you've learned along these 20 years of how to stay fresh and excited? Because the moment, I'm guessing, as a leader, you start getting stressed or you start doing too much stuff that is not in your sweet spot, it begins to affect everyone else.
Yeah, look, you've got to set the right tone, right? So, I think most innovation comes from this alchemy of dissatisfaction with existing processes and way things are getting done, and then curiosity of, hey, I saw something new coming out. How can I use that to improve what we're doing, right? So AI is a perfect thing. As an example, mobile phones were another perfect thing. The Kayak app, when we first got it, was actually built for BlackBerry, for anyone who remembers BlackBerry.
Yeah.
And at the time, my co-founder, Paul English, who was an amazing, magical guy, was like, Steve, we gotta take advantage of this new computing platform called the BlackBerry and have people like text us and do a search.
Were you using one at the time?
Yeah,
Okay.
we all were.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, wow. Push email? Boom, push email, amazing, right? And you just get new platforms and new ideas, and you take that to your existing process and you make it better. So dissatisfaction, curiosity, that's where innovation comes from. And if you empower your team to let your newest worker to your most seasoned worker come up with great ideas, and then you filter it through the entire team, magic happens.
Wouldn't you say that a lot of the structures, whether it's education or just corporate America, stifle curiosity in a lot of ways?
For sure. What stifles curiosity is bureaucracy, established processes, and culture that doesn't allow new ways of thinking to arise. And the biggest antidote to that we found at Kayak is staying lean. Trying to keep our legal team as small as possible, trying to keep our compliance team as small as possible, letting any of the overinvestment happen in product and marketing and commercial teams. That's where the ideas come from. Not to say that legal and compliance people can't come up with good ideas, but most of the time they're about avoiding mistakes, not about jittering and testing new things.
What about for your kids? Have you noticed that how do you foster their curiosity?
You take away screens. It would be the biggest thing. So it depresses me when I go to restaurants and I see parents sitting at a table talking to each other, and then their kids are all checked out on screens.
I run the beach each morning, and I see people at sunrise not taking photos even, just with their heads down on the screen. So, man,
It's crazy. Yeah.
makes me sad.
I tell my kids, chin up. If your chin's down, you're looking at something. But chin up, you're looking around yourselves. And then coloring books go a long way.
Join our creative business community at HereGoesNothin.com.